The other day I found my old training logs. They were stashed on the bookshelf. I was looking through some books. I was basically shifting them to make more space. And I looked through, and the first ever page in my log was from the January of 2020, which is not when I started training, but it is when I started logging it. And I thought that was okay, so it's gonna be about 6 years now that I started training, and then I thought about it, and it's almost exactly to the week 6 years. This is gonna be a rambling video, so by the way, I don't expect anyone to watch it. I just kind of feel like I can sit back and reflect on how my training went over the last few years, and what went well, what didn't go well, what I learned, and what I remember, and maybe what else I want to do. It's gonna be pretty much just half an hour of rambling while I'm sitting here smoking cigar and drinking coffee. There's gonna be a lot of dead silence, there's gonna be a lot of dead space as I'm trying to collect my mind and as I'm doing things. I'm probably gonna zone out staring at the flame. I do hope I set up my microphone correctly, because the camera is definitely not gonna pick me up talking. But yeah, it's about 6 years now that I trained, and I started mainly because I felt super out of shape, which improved, but it's not totally gone away. Like, I know my limitations a bit better, and I can get off the floor very easily now compared to how it was 6 years ago. But the main source of inspiration was my daughter and how lively she was. And every time I played with her on the floor, played with blocks or whatever else, getting up and chasing after her was a challenge. Before picking up training, I did pretty much barely any physical activity, working for over 10 years in various corporate environments, always at the desk. Like, the most I did was just walking to the office. Actually, no, that wouldn't be right. At one point in one of the companies that I worked for, they did have on-site gym, so I did some Pilates classes. But that would have been around like 2016. And I did go to quite a few lessons. Maybe like I did it for about half a year. I went to Pilates classes with my manager, and I didn't really like it. It's not my thing. before that, I was a very active teenager. Like, I used to skateboard, I used to ride on a bike quite a lot. That was also how I broke my arm. That did a permanent damage to my elbow, which then later on affected all of my training and physical activity. I cannot even call it accident, it was more of an incident because I was just stupid, riding down in the forest and taking on some jumps, and one of them landed badly. After which I ended with part of my bone removed and my elbow not being able to fully stretch. And also 2 different doctors telling me that I won't be able to ever go back on a bike or lift any weights. And just just now I can tell, after lifting earlier today and then going on a bike, that they were full of shit. But I did believe it for a while, and I didn't go on a bike for years, and I didn't lift for years. So going back to 2019, I decided I want to get fit, not really knowing what that meant. And I started looking up some videos on YouTube, reading some articles, and looking back at it, knowing what I know now, oh my god, was that an absolute pile of dump to sift through. I remember, like, whatever I searched on, I was sitting on the bus going to the office, and I found some training how to train arms videos or things like that. I had a set of dumbbells that I had for most of my life that were just kind of accompanying me, moving around, that I never really used much, like those spin lock dumbbells, which are, by the way, great. So I was looking up some like dumbbell exercises videos, dumbbell training videos. Majority of it was absolute rubbish. I don't even remember those YouTube channels, but they were like quite big YouTube channels, videos with millions of views. And the information contained in those videos was useless. Like, it's like, okay, here's an exercise, and then that's about it. No information on programming, no information on how to schedule rest in between, just nothing really useful aside from how to perform the exercise. And I believe that, like, probably that's the beginning of the journey for everyone. Like, everyone just goes through a lot of useless stuff first. I'm glad that I persevered and actually started looking into more information. I found some books. I found some other YouTube channels which were a bit more informative. Some websites with pre-made programs. And I think, early on in 2020, so a few months after, like, I initially started doing something, and doing my initial exercise sessions were laughable, but maybe that's what I needed. I don't know, I was really unfit, so maybe it was good enough for the time being. I eventually stumbled upon Strong Lifts 5x5, which, as flawed as it is, it's a good starting point. I think actually even before that, I read a book. I do remember that exactly, because that was my first exercise book, and it was called Power to the People by Pavel Tsatsouline, and it's a really good book. but at the same time it's a really bad book for a beginner. I have to admit I did not understand the majority of what it was saying. Like, it's not a book for someone who just wants to start training. It has a lot of good information that's useful further down the line as you become somewhat seasoned, but not a good book to start training. So I did some strong lifts 5x5, and I remember thinking, I bet there's many other people in the world that thought the same thing. I was like, oh, this is great, I'll just keep getting stronger, and in about a year I will be the strongest man in the world. I was even thinking like, oh, I don't have enough weights to keep up with it. And that was an interesting time as well, because it was really hard to get weights. Pandemic just started, gyms were closing down, and all the weights were selling out, and I was just lucky enough to actually buy a barbell set with some weights, and I was like, I think total 135 kilo. And it lasted me a decent while. Sometime after that I got a squat rack, one of those easy foldable ones. Actually I still have it in the garden. So yeah, I started doing 5x5, and I somehow managed to convince my wife to join me in training, which initially she really didn't like. She was not excited about it at all. But it grew on her, and now she keeps training. No, I think she actually trains more consistently than I do, because my last year of training wasn't great. So I did strong lifts 5x5, and then I read some other books, I saw some other YouTube videos, like I found like more reliable sources of information. I lost a lot of weight around that time. That was the other thing, like I was probably so unfit to begin with, because I was a fat piece of shit, as I was way overweight. I don't remember exactly, like I think the highest I ever weighed myself back then was about 112 kilo, and that was with zero muscle mass. So yeah, I was flabby and weak. I lost a lot of weight. I tracked it, weighed myself every week, and I think I got overly excited with losing weight. I lost a lot in a quick time. I mean, it felt really motivating, but at the same time, like, the training wasn't great. Like, I definitely wasn't performing well on any lifts, and it's like a slow learning cycle. You kind of have to figure out that all of those things are connected. So after that I started doing 531, and I think 531 is probably one of the best programs that you can run all of your life. It's easy, it's comfortable, and it's just enough challenging that you will grow from it. So yeah, my fitness overall definitely improved. And I think it was going very well for about a year, until, don't remember exactly when, until after one of the Christmas breaks. I decided that I should challenge myself more, and then add more to the 531 that I was doing. And I think I overextended myself a bit, and then I started losing motivation, tried other programs. Like, overall I was staying up at about the same strength on most of the lifts. And I think that was also a good time to start realizing that, like, what do I want from training? because looking at videos from people, like, it was mainly focused on around that time on powerlifting. Some strongman was becoming quite popular, and it was very important for me to realize that, like, I'm actually not an athlete. I don't have to do exactly all the same things that athletes do. I'm not a bodybuilder, not a strongman, definitely not a powerlifter. I do not need to train like they do. I can actually do what I want to do. And I think part of that realization was me reading Dan Jones' book, which is a great book. Never Let Go, I think is the title. Like, the biggest takeaway that I had from that book was, like, the idea that people who train the athletes and non-athletes, they don't have that skill of training by feel. And I think I developed that much better than I initially thought I could. I can sense what I can and cannot do. And also I realized that I don't have to chase numbers. Like, does it really matter if I squat 5 kilo more? Like, it's extra 5 kilo or even 10 kilo on my squat is not going to improve my life. It doesn't mean that I train less. I just mean that I put less weight on it, in a metaphorical sense. And also that was about the same time, so like midway through my training, I started watching less and less YouTube videos on fitness. It kind of got to the point of knowledge saturation. It's like I already know what I know, and it's like I'm not getting anything new from it. And also most of the nuanced information doesn't really affect me much. Like, I'm not at the stage where I need to worry about every little minute detail. And somehow, by pretty much doing whatever I felt like doing, somewhat unstructured, like, that's what I was reflecting on, like, the last almost 3 years of my training, so half of it, is just me making up shit, training how I feel like. And somehow I still got stronger, like, this year, even though it was a really bad year for training and overall bad year for my health. I managed to pull, what was it, this year or was it last year? That actually I don't remember. I managed to pull the heaviest deadlift I ever did, and I think this year I managed to do like the best reps on a 100 kilo bench, and that's without even really trying. And I think a big part of it was introducing some variety of exercises, switching them up a bit. And even though I didn't actually read the West Side Barbell book, I know of conjugate and how you should rotate for the lifts for novelty. I think this is kind of what I instinctively did. I still need to do Westside Barbell. I need to read the Westside Barbell book of methods. Yeah, also with my training I basically found out that 5 good books are way better than hundreds and hundreds of hours of YouTube videos. There are videos there that provide good advice, but I think there's more videos there that provide bad advice. This is also part of the reason that I don't really talk much in my videos. I just do training log because it's for myself, and part of it is just like I don't really want to provide people advice because like I'm not the most knowledgeable or experienced, and at the same time like I've seen people who trained, I don't know, a year or two, knew barely anything and were presenting themselves as experts, mainly because they were lean, which, you know, that's down to diet, not really training. Yeah, and I think dieting was probably the biggest struggle for me to pair it up with the training. I like to eat too much. This is like my weakness. I know the principles of dieting, I know how to drop weight, I did it successfully twice. I just don't like it. It is fun being fat and eating whatever you feel like. At least for me. Currently I weigh about 106 kilo, so not far off from when I started. The difference is that I have a very different body composition, so I look not as fat as I did. I still look fat, but not as fat as I did before. And the difference is that now I can lift, I can bench press my body weight. Squat probably 1.5. Like my best squat was 150, and I haven't really chased much after that. I should probably squat more. But this is something that I've been avoiding this year because of the health problems. That was a bit of a spanner in the works. And I do realize it's rich of me sitting here talking about health problems and smoking cigar. This is something new. My wife got it for me. I haven't really smoked in, oh my god, also ages. Like I never really, I don't know. I think last time I smoked a cigarette was almost 20 years ago. That's like, you know, when I was a young man going around pubs. I haven't smoked in over 15 years. So this is just like a nice wind down. Not really a habit I'm developing. But yeah, like you don't appreciate your health until you start seeing problems with it. That would be the theme of this year of training. But I'm also slowly feeling a bit more confident in maybe picking up some heavier weights, maybe starting squats again. And I'm basically not squatting because I'm somewhat afraid of bracing for squats under heavy weights. I had some like intestine problems that took me out for over a week, and it potentially might have been caused by training. So yeah, I'd rather lay off any heavy lifts for a while. And this goes to like what I mentioned earlier, like, you know, I know what I can do and I cannot do, and I don't have to push myself on everything. And I still think I have some time left in my life to exceed at certain lifts. I deadlifted 4 plates, that was my best deadlift, and I think I can work up to 200, maybe even 220. It would be nice to lift 5 plates. Not that it matters that much, but it would be nice. Feels like a nice achievement. I'm definitely chuffed with my bench. Like based on how badly my elbow doesn't perform, I'm impressed that I can press anything. Yeah, so one other reason for this video is, like, aside from the fact that I found my old training logs recently, I've been doing overhead. I think I uploaded that video earlier. I've been doing overhead today, and it's a bit of a small jump of a progress over what I did last week. And I had a deja vu that I did that before, about 3 years ago or so, 2 years ago maybe. It felt like I was putting on the weight and it felt like, oh, this is exactly the same weight I did and I'm doing the exact same thing. I neglected my overhead this year. I haven't really done much of it. So I'm thinking I might want to focus on that a bit more. And yeah, I haven't really programmed anything in advance for myself in a very long time. I'm just going with the flow. I'm making a program for my wife every week. I'm printing out new program for her. It's mostly based around 531. She really enjoys it, which is good. And she became really strong. Just the other day she did a 100 kilo deadlift for 6 reps at weight of around 80. So I'm very impressed. She's been amazing. She's been very consistent. But yeah, she follows a very, very simple variation of 531 with like 4 exercises per session, and it gets her stronger. So who knows, maybe I'll feel like that one day as well. Maybe I'll just go back to 531, calculate my lifts, and do some easy version of it. Probably when I feel like working on my squats and deads. I'm gonna add some wood. I'm looking at the video, I'm not even sure if you can see me. So it's just gonna be a video of darkness and me talking over it. One thing I think I did better in the past was stretching. I definitely committed way more time to some like passive stretching, just sitting in front of TV for half an hour, stretching my legs, rolling my shoulders and so on. So I think that's definitely something I could improve on. And I do must say, like, I really enjoy having gym at home. I think this was probably the biggest factor of me sticking to it. It's having the easy access to all the equipment, and then having easy and quick access to shower afterwards, because I sweat like hell, and if I can finish off the training and then within 5 minutes go shower, that's amazing. I remember initially when we were buying the equipment very early on in like end of 2019 and then 2020, even in pandemic, it worked out that with the most basic equipment, barbell and like foldable squat rack with some weights, worked out to be cheaper than any gym membership in London around our area, and for me and my wife together. That, and also around that time gym access was limited and they were forcing people to stagger the gym times. You would have to like look on your app. I just like whatever, I can't be bothered to do any of that nonsense. Having equipment at home, I can train wherever I feel like and don't have to wait for anything. So my commercial gym experience was very limited. So like what I mentioned earlier, years ago, probably 10 years ago, 2016 I think would have been around the time I used the corporate gym, which was always busy because, well, it's a free gym for the employees, and the equipment that they had was mostly cardio equipment, which, like, again, looking back at it, that's most of the commercial gyms. Before that, my other commercial gym experience was back in my hometown when I was still a teenager, and I was going to like a local gym that used to be like a converted garage or something. It was like a typical bro gym. It was cheap enough back then that I could afford it. The problem was like all the equipment was always taken, like you had to queue up to do anything. I think I trained there for about half a year before I moved. And I had some weights at home. Like I had an easy curl bar, straight bar, spin lock dumbbells. But the thing is, I had absolutely no clue how to use them when I was a teenager. And back then finding information wasn't that easy. Like we're talking year 2002, 3. Internet forums were the way to go to find any information. And it was also a mixture of good and bad information, just like it is now. So nothing really changed on the internet. And it all kind of boils down to finding the principles that work. So the things that you need to know are very simple, and you just have to apply them. And it's like, progressive overload, resting, rotating lifts, eating enough to actually grow, or eating not enough if you want to lose weight. And that was my takeaway. I found like an old book. That was a really good one. It's an over 100-year-old book. It's called Secrets of Strength. And the secrets of strength that they were talking about was pretty much that: lift a bit more every time, eat a lot, don't drink alcohol, and rest in between the training, and then just train consistently. So yeah, there you go. Secrets of strength: consistency, progressive overload, rest, eat. And still 100 years later, some people overcomplicate it. And obviously it's very different when you're a professional athlete, yeah, which I am not. And and I won't be. I'm too old for that. But the principles haven't changed. Oh yeah, I just remembered one other secret. The other secret in that book was eat steak and eggs. Which, yes, that is definitely a secret to growing. So yeah, looking towards the future, I'm looking forward to training the rest of my life. I really enjoy lifting. And I know that it might not be the most performant, most optimal. It just doesn't matter. Like, I just enjoy lifting. It's like a nice time out. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours of me sitting in the gym, listening to music, listening to podcasts, and working. And I do hope that as I go for the next year, I don't know, however long, if I'm lucky, 30, 40 years, that I might still have a PR in a lift or two. If I ever manage to overhead press my weight, I would be really impressed with it. Yeah, these would be the things that I really want to do. And I still think I have a few good years of training where I can achieve that. I would like to overhead press 100 kilo, so 2 plates, and bench press 3 plates. And then maybe if I ever get to squat 4 plates, that would be nice. And I think main thing is just having fun with it. That's why I like doing some of the strongman stuff. It's just plain fun. And if I ever feel inspired, I might even cut it down and actually lose enough weight to look like I lift. Because as of now, if you see me on the street, you couldn't tell if I'm strong or just fat. And I think that's a common thing. You just don't ever feel like you're strong enough. I don't know, I might repeat that video in 5 years, see how it went. Reflect on training again. So yeah, I don't really expect anyone listen to me rambling. That's one of those videos that I just record, put it out there. However, if just so happens anyone actually did listen, tell me how was your journey like? How's your training going? I do like reading those stories. I used to look on Reddit on some of the gym training and whatnot subreddits, but Reddit became utterly shit and it's just filled with nonsense. And as always, any social media, like I definitely look less at it. And I think I'm just gonna shut up now and enjoy the rest of the cigar and look at the flames.